Good evening. Today is Thursday, August 5th, 2021, and this special meeting of the Romulus Community Schools Board of Education is called to order at 6:06 p.m. Public participation is available on YouTube Live or in person. The link for YouTube is posted on our district website. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Kennard. Piles.
Present.
German.
Present.
Evans present. We have three absent excused. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Let the record reflect that Mr. Bergeron, Ms. Terrell, Ms. Wester are not here this evening and gave notice that they would not be. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda is the acceptance of the agenda. I move that the Board of Education accept the meeting agenda as presented. Is there support? Support. Moved by Piles, supported by Kennard. All in favor, say aye. 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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Next on our agenda is public comment for agenda items only. Ms. Morrison, do we have any tonight? Seeing none, the first item of business tonight is an action item regarding Dixon Public Consulting, LLC. Is there a motion?
Madam President, so moved.
Oh, you need a mic. I'm sorry, Ms. Vice President Kennard.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Madam President, so move that the Board of Education directs all Romulus Community School personnel, including volunteers and contractors, to provide Dixon Public Consulting, LLC, with office space, resources, and other information requested so it may carry out its contractual duties with the district by adopting the following resolution. Whereas the board contracted with Dixon Public Consulting, LLC, to act as a financial consultant. Whereas the board has received reports that Mike Dixon and Sandy Gutton-Schuwager from Dixon Public Consulting, LLC, have been prevented from accessing the office space, resources, and other materials necessary to perform their contractual duties. It is resolved that all district personnel, including volunteers and contractors, immediately and fully cooperate with requests from Mr. Dixon, Ms. Gutchen-Schuwager, or any other individual from Dixon Public Consulting, LLC, including but not limiting to providing office space and immediate access to such space, information, resources, and documents as soon as possible, but no later than 24 hours after a request for same is made, and full independent access to all district financial records, i.e. computer credentials for electronically stored financial records. It is further resolved that the board's finance committee will meet with Dixon Public Consulting, LLC, once every 2 weeks to ensure compliances with the board's directives, and for Dixon Public Consulting, LLC, to provide the board with necessary updates. It is further resolved that any district employee, volunteer, or contractor who acts in a manner inconsistent with these directives will be subject to discipline up to and including termination.
Moved by Kennard. Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Kennard, supported by Evans. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is an action item for the position of Finance Director. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move that the Board of Education moves that Dr. Benjamin Edmondson post the position of Director of Finance no later than Friday, August 6, 2021, in a manner consistent with applicable Board of Education policies and administrative regulations as updated in collaboration with Don Solvey and presented to the board in January 2021 by adopting the following resolution. Whereas Romulus Community Schools has an open position for the Director of Finance. Whereas the district is in immediate need to fill the position. It is therefore resolved that Dr. Benjamin Edmondson will post the open Director of Finance position no later than Friday, August 6, 2021, in a manner consistent with the board's policies and administrative regulations concerning the posting of open positions. It is further resolved that Dr. Edmondson will create the posting using the language contained in the job description attached to this motion in its entirety and without alterations of any kind.
Moved by German, is there support?
Support.
Moved by German, supported by Evans. Are there any questions or comments regarding this action item? Seeing none, we will vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda is an action item for a pre-audit assessment. Is there a motion?
Move that the Board of Education authorize the board president to contact Raymond to determine whether Romulus Community Schools is prepared to undergo a financial audit by adopting the following resolution. Whereas the Board of Education has determined that it may be in the best interest of Romulus Community Schools to undergo a financial audit. Whereas Dixon Public Consulting, LLC, has advised the board to consult with a financial and/or accounting firm to determine whether the district is prepared to undergo a financial audit. It is therefore resolved that the board president is directed to contact Raymond and recommend to the board any agreements as necessary, permitting Raymond to status the material weaknesses identified in the district's June 30th, 2020 financial audit and to preliminarily assess and/or perform other tests to determine whether the district's current system of finances is sufficient for a financial audit to be performed. It is further resolved that the board president may obtain additional recommendations from Raymond as necessary to ensure the district's current system of finances is sufficient for a financial audit to be performed.
Moved by Evans, is there support?
Support.
Moved by Evans, supported by German. Are there any questions regarding this action item? Seeing none? Yes, Ms. Kennard.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes.
So, in performing this type of a preliminary, is there a time frame, or is there, in terms of how this will be done prior to? Because I know the audit usually starts in what is that, September? In
Beginning of October, yes.
So this is August,
Right.
and so what is the time frame that we are?
So, thank you for asking that question, Vice President Kennard. We have our audit coming up very quickly. Our last year's audit had 8 material findings, and of those, there are some that it would benefit the board to know if we have corrected them, and if not, it would allow us time to correct some of our internal processes prior to getting audited, and give us an opportunity, if there is anything that still needs to be rectified, to do that. This is a proactive measure to improve our audit performance this year. As far as time goes, I will have to get that information from Daniel Clark, our auditor, and find out, one, if they can come in, how long that takes, and when exactly they will start the audit. If there is not time, then we would not enter into this agreement. And the rationale for this is, one, we have attached to this motion a letter from Don Sovey, who was with us for many months and a financial expert that helped us clean up our finance department, and his withdraw notification stated serious concerns that he had. So this is a way for the board to know if those have been taken care of, and if not, hopefully rectify them prior to our audit so we don't have the same findings.
Madam President, so the Dixon Public Consulting will be working with the superintendent, correct?
Yes.
In ensuring that this is being done.
So what will happen is, yes, Dixon Public Consulting will be working with our superintendent and finance department on our finances. And if we have a pre-audit conducted and the report shows that there is a status of material findings from last year that we have not yet corrected, then Mr. Dixon will work with our finance department to correct those prior to us being audited.
Madam President.
Yes,
I have a
Ms. Sherman.
question. So in looking at, is it Don Sobey?
Sobey.
I'm sorry. And looking at the letter from Don Sobey, I noticed that he withdrew from working with the district due to lack of communication and cooperation. So, how will we know if this is happening to the Dixon Public Consulting? We want to make sure that we're moving expeditiously to make sure that we're prepared for the audit. But what if Dixon Public Consulting experiences the same thing as Donald Sobey? It concerns me.
As in the initial action that Ms. Kennard read, it is directed, this motion directs all employees of the district to adhere to the requests and demands needed. And now the Finance Committee will be meeting with Dixon every 2 weeks to find out the status. And again, if there is not cooperation, then we go to the bottom comment where it says directives with subject of discipline up to and including termination.
Does that answer your question, Ms. Chairman? And Secretary Evans, thank you as a member of the Finance Committee for clarifying that for Ms. German and for the board members present and our stakeholders watching the meeting.
Madam President,
Vice
so
President
for
Kennard.
clarification, so the responsibility of the Finance Committee is just to provide information back to the board.
Correct.
We're not a governing body where we'll be making any decisions or interfering in the process.
Correct,
Is that correct?
correct.
Okay, I think that needs to be clarified, that we're serving as a board committee
Yes,
where information from that committee is going to be brought back to the board.
Yes.
Findings, correct?
Thank you, Vice President Kennard. Absolutely. So this is a recommendation brought before the board from the Finance Committee based on last year's audit and Don Sobey's withdrawal letter to us, and then Mike Dixon's initial assessment. So just to state for the record, both Raymond, if they do a pre-audit, and the team from Dixon Public Consulting will be working with the superintendent and with the staff of the finance department. They are not working with the board, and the board is not working on these items. They are working with the superintendent and finance department, but they will report to the finance committee, who will report to the board.
I apologize. I apologize. I read it incorrectly and misconstrued I presented it not correctly. Sorry.
In what you stated, yes, but that you are correct in that first action item tonight ensures that the consultants with Dixon Public Consulting will be able to perform the job. And then they will also work with the superintendent and with Raymond on a pre-audit if that's something we can do. And we simply get the reports back through the finance committee.
I think that was needed to be clarified.
Thank you very much for noting that and asking that question, Vice President Kennard. Are there any other questions or comments regarding this action item? Seeing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Do we have communications from the public that have come through? None. Okay, seeing none. Communications from board members? Does any board member have anything? Okay. Ms. German?
I do have some, I have a comment, but I'm not sure if it's something that I should say publicly. I'm just, when you look at all these things that are taking place with the action items and all of that, I just want to make sure that we're moving forward and not, none of this becomes a distraction to what the main purpose of what we're doing for our kids.
Absolutely.
I think that's important.
And to answer your question, all comments are fine as long as we do not state an employee's name, but simply talk about things that the board is looking at and directing. So yes, that is acceptable, your comment. And that is the reason, in order to continue moving forward, that follow-up action items are sometimes necessary.
Okay.
So we remain committed to moving forward. And one thing before we close, we have 4 wonderful elementary schools in the district: Hale Creek Elementary, Romulus Elementary, Wick Elementary, and Barth Elementary. And if you have a child who will be starting kindergarten in the fall, we would love to have you entrust your children to us and check out our elementaries, either the one, if you go attend the school within your boundaries, we provide bus service, but we do have school of choice if you choose to transport your child to another elementary building, if you have, other reasons for doing that. And if you enroll your child in any one of our elementary schools for kindergarten, they will receive this awesome class of 2034 t-shirt in their size, which may be their size. But anyway, please check us out. We have wonderful elementary schools, phenomenal building principals in every single one, and a staff in each building that is committed to really engaging our students and making learning enjoyable and a lifelong journey. And on that note, I move to adjourn.
Support.
Moved by Piles, supported by Evans. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 6:24 p.m.